Have you ever felt just this persistent anxiety, or maybe a deep sadness, or even a fear that just doesn't seem to have a clear source?
Hmm.
For those of us, fascinated by psychology, by the mind's hidden corners, it's a real puzzle.
It really is.
So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that.
Mhm.
We're exploring Mark Wolynn's book, It Didn't Start With You.
A really groundbreaking book.
Yeah, our mission is to try and understand how the unresolved pain of our ancestors might actually be echoing in our lives now.
Mm.
And maybe more importantly, how we can find some freedom from it.
And what's so compelling, I think, is how this idea brings together some really cutting-edge science, like epigenetics,
Right.
with something deeply personal, like your family history, the stories may be left unspoken. It gives you a new lens, really, for why you might feel the way you do.
Okay, so let's unpack that core idea then, this concept that something so, personal as trauma could be inherited. What are we actually talking about here?
Right. The fundamental idea is that traumas may be significant unresolved experiences from your parents or even grandparents.
Or further back.
Or even great-grandparents, yes. These aren't just stories from the past. They can actually show up in your life right now.
Like, what does that look like?
Well, it could be chronic physical pain that doctors can't quite explain, or maybe persistent anxiety, depression, or even patterns of self-sabotage that feel really ingrained. And interestingly, research is now looking into how even specific phobias, unexplained fears or certain types of chronic pain might echo specific traumas from generations back. It's like your body remembers something your mind doesn't.
Wow, that's a big idea.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you usually look inside yourself for all the answers. How does that even work? Like scientifically, what's the mechanism?
Yeah, that's the crucial question, isn't it? And this is where epigenetics really comes into play.
Okay.
So epigenetics isn't about changing your actual DNA sequence, your genes themselves. Think of it more like dimmer switches for your genes.
For switches. Okay.
Yeah. Past experiences, especially really stressful or traumatic ones, can leave these little chemical marks on the DNA. These marks don't rewrite the code, but they can dial the activity of certain genes up or down.
So they affect how the genes work.
Exactly, how they express themselves. This can impact things like your stress response, your emotional resilience, all sorts of things. And the key is, these epigenetic marks can sometimes be passed down through generations.
So you could be feeling the biological echo of something that happened long before you were born.
That's the implication, yes. It helps explain some of these generational patterns we see, emotionally and even physically, without anyone having a conscious memory of the original event. It's pretty remarkable.
It really is. So if this is happening maybe subtly, biologically, how do we actually spot these echoes in ourselves? How do we, start to see this legacy?
Well, Wolynn offers a really powerful tool for this. He calls it core language.
Core language.
Yeah. These aren't just your everyday worries. They're specific, sort of recurring, emotionally loaded phrases that might run through your mind, almost like a reflex.
Like what? Can you give an example?
Sure. Things like, I'll always end up alone, or something terrible is bound to happen, or maybe I have to do it all myself. Phrases like that.
Okay.
And what's striking is that these phrases, this core sentence, as he calls it, often aren't just your personal feeling. They can sometimes directly mirror the deepest fears or actual experiences of an ancestor, someone who was abandoned or who did face something terrible unexpectedly.
Wow. So these aren't just thoughts, they're clues, visible breadcrumbs back through time.
Precisely. They're like direct pointers to an unresolved family story that might still be playing out.
That really makes you think, doesn't it? How many of our own quirks or anxieties might be, part of a larger family narrative we didn't even know existed. But I could hear some people thinking, is this just blaming the past? Does it let you off the hook for your own stuff?
That's a really important point, and no, not at all. The book is very clear on this. It's not about blame, it's about understanding. And actually, it's empowering.
Empowering how?
Because while the trauma didn't start with you, the book strongly suggests it absolutely can end with you. You have the power to break the cycle.
Okay, so how? What's the path forward?
The path involves, first, identifying your specific core language, that repeating phrase or feeling. Then you do the detective work. You trace it back through your family history, looking for connections, for resonance.
Looking for the origin story, kind of.
Exactly. And then comes the really transformative part. Consciously creating new, healing inner images and experiences. You actively work to visualize and feel a different outcome, a counter-narrative to that inherited pain.
So you're consciously rewriting the emotional script.
You are. You're essentially starting to rewire those old neural pathways, creating new ones based on peace and resolution, not the old trauma. You become, in a way, the bridge, the one who stops the pattern and allows healing to flow, both forward and back.
So the ultimate message here seems to be, you're not fundamentally broken. You actually have this incredible capacity to integrate these inherited patterns and really change your future.
Absolutely.
The book sounds like it offers both a way to see these patterns, like a mirror, and also a practical map to help release them.
That's a great way to put it. And I think if you've been feeling, stuck or confused, maybe carrying a weight that doesn't entirely feel like yours, then exploring this idea of inherited trauma, looking at your story through this particular lens, it might just be the key you've been searching for. It could unlock a whole new level of understanding.
So this book summary is powered by International Psychology Association. Follow us for more interesting book summaries and psychology updates. Thank you.